Kayla Butler. Welcome to Her Empire Builder.
Thank you so much for having me.
It is my absolute pleasure. I always love, one of my favorite things about podcasting is talking to really interesting people. But for you, it was so exciting because we are obsessed with your products. And so when we were sitting there and sharing it and we were talking about Ivory Mix to so many people. And then I was like, who is this woman behind Ivory Mix? And I start checking you out online. I'm like, I need to speak to her. So it's very exciting for us. So thank you.
Oh yeah, no, that's very flattering. Thank you very much. You make me feel like blushing, but that's awesome. No, that's always good to hear.
Yeah. So tell me, because for a lot of people that don't know, how did Ivory Mix actually begin?
I mean, it honestly started as a creative outlet for me. I think a lot of entrepreneurs can relate to that, but I didn't think it was going to be necessarily what it is today. I started as a hobby. It was really a blog, honestly. And so I come from a design background. I did interior design for
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
nearly 2 decades, honestly. And that might age me, but I did it for a very long time and successfully, but I needed some more creative outlets because as I worked up the ladder, I kind of reached a ceiling, so to speak, and I didn't know where to go. And so I found that blogging was a great outlet for me, and it utilized my new hobby of photography. And I realized that a lot of bloggers, female entrepreneurs online loved styled stock photography. And I like that perked my ears up, like styled anything, right? Like I fall in love with. And so if you go way back on my blog, you'll see I was blogging about architecture or photography just in general, or design in general, even things about your home. And I, as a result, was playing around with the design of my blog and my website and got into creating my own styled stock photography. And then I realized that it could be done very quickly and easily. And for someone like me, like it just came natural. So I thought I would share that with other people who I was communicating with in the communities that I was in regarding how to grow your blog or how to grow your online business. And I thought, well, let me start sharing some of what I'm working on. And I kind of went from there. I
It's
mean,
the
it
best
just,
ones to do when you've got that skill that just comes so naturally to you. It's always the one that works out the best, that you're like, really? This is the thing? Like, this is so easy for me. Because I look at it and I look at your pictures and go, I'm a hobby photographer. And yeah, that's not easy.
yeah.
Maybe easy for you. It's not easy.
Yeah. And I totally get that. And I appreciate that. And I'm aware and I can see that in other people who who they are and what they love to do is not necessarily something that I could ever do. So
Yeah.
definitely have to look for those things for sure.
And when you started, were you just doing the stock photography, or when did you introduce all of the, because what we know and love you for is your Canva templates. So how did
Yeah.
they all come about?
So our Canva templates came as a result of how people were using the stock photos.
Yeah.
And honestly, I love design. I love strategy
Mm.
and marketing. And in my background as an interior designer, when you work as either a small business owner or in a small business, you do a lot of things anyways, marketing, sales,
Yeah.
just
You
to,
do all
I
the
mean,
things. Yeah.
yeah, it's not your typical corporate environment, just as an industry. So I had a lot of skills anyways. And so going into building out the membership and listening to our audience and looking at what they needed and how they used the membership and the stock photos, it just was a natural fit for things I was interested in talking about and creating, and also their needs. And it just expanded the use of stuff we were already creating. And so that's how we got into the Canva templates, and really wanted to create something more than just one or two Canva templates. We wanted it to be a strategy and a
Yeah.
system. And so we kind of package our Canva templates in 30-day sets. Now, I mean, it's been a sort of an evolving thing, but now we realize that if we put it in 30-day packages that are strategic based on the type of content that people create in order to create engagement, in order to nurture their audience, in order to launch a product, in order to, convert someone into a sale. It's a long process from day one to the end of the month. You know what I mean? And so it requires so many different things. And that's
Yeah,
kind
I
of
love
how,
it. Should we just
that's
have a
how we,
moment to like tip our cap to Canva? Like
yeah, really.
the amount of times in a day I'm just like, Canva, love
Yeah.
Canva.
It's so true. I
It's so
love it.
good.
I'm obsessed. I love it.
Yeah. So how do you deal with, because I know, so many people in the online world, one of the biggest things you deal with is copycats and competitors copying their work, which I know you get a lot as well, but you actually make yours available. So how do you continue to get that point of difference in such a crowded market?
That's a really good question. And I think I get that a lot from people who are in our community who are looking to grow things as well. And the number one, I try not to pay attention to what other people are doing.
Yeah.
So I try to keep my point of perspective clean or cleansed of
Yeah.
other influences, so that all decisions around what types of content we're creating for our members to use is based on actual necessity and needs. And that is how I believe we stay stand out and are different, in the sense that we really listen to our community. And I know that everybody probably tries to do that, but the difference is that we know what it's like to grow viral content or across different channels like YouTube or Instagram. So not only are we creating it, but we know what works
Yeah.
to create more viral or more engaged with content. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And so
we
let's talk about
listen
that,
and we
because I
use it.
touched on this yesterday in going, there's a difference in the content that we put out that's more engaged with than necessarily popular. Like
Yeah.
I was talking about some of mine that I've been doing recently that, didn't necessarily have as many likes, but they had a
Mm-hmm.
huge amount of comments and click-throughs into inquiries to do work
Yeah.
and to do our programs and that sort of thing. How do you distinguish between that different stuff, and what have you seen is the difference in things that are just really liked and really actually have a tangible business difference?
This is a really good question, because a lot of people don't realize that. They think that
Mm,
every single piece of content should get the same or similar results. And every piece of content has a different objective.
yeah.
There's a different objective behind the scenes. And so you could so in terms of content, how do I distinguish between that? Well, I have 9 buckets of content that I have sort of developed into like a system. And so every bucket I have expectations on, and each one is unique. And so based on the bucket or the content type, I have expectations. And when I
What's an
talk to
example
people
of
about
a couple
creating
of
their
those
content,
buckets?
yeah. So, I mean, in general, it's generally 3 basic buckets that are divided into 9. So 3. So the first 3 are building your audience, content that grows your audience. And then the second 3 are things that build your brand. And then the third set are things that actually sell your
Yeah.
offers. And so in terms of the individual 9, like an example of a piece of content that would grow your audience is going to be your typical value content, like sharing a resource list or giving a tutorial or something like that. Whereas building a brand and content that supports that bucket is going to be things where you share your beliefs, or maybe behind the scenes, or share your brand story or things like that. Whereas something that actually sells is going to be, like a walkthrough of the website, or, like client testimonials. Of course, client testimonials and a walkthrough of your website aren't going to get as many shares, saves, maybe likes, but they might get a ton of comments and a ton of click-throughs.
Yeah.
Whereas stuff that builds your audience that's where you have to expect more likes, more shares, maybe a lot of comments, but that's where, so it kind of trickles down from there. If you kind of
Yeah.
view it as like a upside down triangle or a funnel, so to speak, your engagement level on the likes and viral aspect diminishes, but the quality of who you're
Absolutely.
attracting and
Yeah.
where they go. Yeah.
So when you talk about the 30-day strategy kind of packs that you get, which I'm a member of your
Uh-huh.
Ivory Mix membership and love it, but how, what's the kind of balance between those three buckets that you recommend people having?
Well, that's a good question as well. And I give options to different business models and different types of businesses. Because for someone
I
like
love that
me,
it's not just a one size fits all. Yeah.
yeah. So I do that strategically as well because, there is a opportunity for me to be like, here's your Canva template, here's your photo, here's your caption, and post this on Monday and post this on Tuesday. But then everybody begins to have the same content, the same strategy. And across businesses, it doesn't work. So if I were to go through the 9 content types or the sort of 3 bigger buckets and divide it on your, maybe your coaching business, so to speak, if that's what we're working on, then I would say if you're aimed at getting 10 clients a month, then I would base your content on your strategy for how do you get 10 clients a month. So is it with a webinar once a month, or are you booking calls every day? And if you're booking calls every day, then you're going to want to rotate through those 3 buckets every week,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But if you have a webinar that you're hosting once a month, then you got to spread that across the month.
Yeah.
So you want to, in the front end of the month, build your audience and work on audience growth content. In the middle of the month, talk about your brand and promote your webinar date. And then at the end, sell your offer. So that's what I mean. Like, it really depends on your business model, but it all works. You just kind of have to rearrange it.
Yeah. And so when you're doing that, because I know a lot of people, especially if they're coming up with their own social media content as well, how many hours a month do you devote to getting those 30 pieces of content?
How many, can we go a little bit deeper with your
Yes.
question? Do you mean in terms of if someone were to take the templates, how many hours it would take them to
So
turn
no,
that
I'm
around into
talking
content?
about you. How many hours do you spend doing it?
Well, luckily I have a team now that supports our growth. So if I were to say how many hours it takes us to
Mm,
create 30 days worth of Canva templates, it might be 16 hours
yeah.
or less, maybe 8. It depends on a few things. And
Yeah.
like if we're exploring a new niche
Yeah.
and a new business model with new Canva templates, then it takes us a little bit longer because we have to do a little more research.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, what goes into creating the Canva templates is the research and then the execution. And so the research probably is really the front end heavy
Yeah.
part of it. So it takes us a while longer.
It's so good, isn't it? The impact that you can have with the low input of time. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it really, really is. And yeah, it pays to have experience too. So
Yeah.
it sounds easy, but there's a lot of
Yeah.
years at this point that
Well, it
comes
takes
behind
me,
it.
I mean, I use a couple of templates and then we create a whole heap of stuff for ourselves as well. And so I spend like a whole day every month on
Yeah,
getting the socials ready for that month. Like
and that's
it's a big time
perfect.
investment, but it's so worth it.
It is worth it. And I love that you do that because batching out the content
Oh, batching is my
creates,
love language.
yeah, it is mine too. And it creates so much focus and impact. So, I mean, on my calendar, I block days just for certain content and then, or certain, things that I'm working on. That way I have more freedom in my schedule as well.
Yeah,
So
100%.
I don't spread it across multiple days. But yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds like you're doing it the right way, like all in one day.
Yeah, I find there's heaps more continuity as well when I miss that one day, if I'm a bit behind and can't carve that out, and then I've got like a week where I'm playing catch up and going, oh, what are we posting today? It's just this like heaviness there, and it doesn't have as much continuity as when I do it in one hit and think about
Yeah.
strategically, what have we got coming up? What are we looking at? Let's look at the marketing calendar, and then, like you said before, with the different buckets and the different types of content, making sure that that's aimed at the different objectives that we have.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So when did you decide? Because I love your business model in that, you know, you've got the membership is your main, that's your main part of the business, isn't it? The membership that goes on.
Yeah, at the moment, for sure. And
Yeah.
I don't see that going anywhere anytime ever.
Yeah.
But for
And
sure.
when did you make the shift from going like I'm selling stock photography into let's make this a recurring revenue model?
Did you say make it a recurring?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we well, I shifted into creating course material around, I mean, I've always dabbled in trainings and creating mini courses and things like that, but I actually last maybe 2 years ago said I'm not creating any more courses, no more mini products. Like I just want to focus and have one thing that we're doing because marketing became so much easier. And that's when revenue started to double and even triple at that point
Yeah,
because
great.
all the marketing and the messaging became more simplified. But my love for coaching or teaching, marketing and helping people get results with what we were creating didn't go away. And so I just started adding course material and marketing content in terms of like lessons and things like that into the membership really last year
Yeah.
as a like core thing. And
Yeah, I love that.
yeah, yeah.
I do think it's a mistake that a lot of people make, and I made myself at the start when I went into online business. Was at one point I had like 27 different offers that I was talking about. I'm going,
Yeah.
no one knows what they're supposed to do. There's just too many options, and it makes the message so diluted. And it also meant that, you know, other people in the industry didn't share what I was doing so much because I was actually covering so much ground. Whereas then when I went really
Yeah.
niche and really like, you know what, this is my lane, this is where I'm sticking, this is my one thing, then it went so well in terms of marketing message, but also allowed other people to go, all right, that's her thing, this is my thing. We can actually work together now.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love that. And it's very powerful. And it's got this like compounding effect,
Yeah. Yeah.
like it just builds and builds and builds and builds in terms of you become the, you've got the expertise, you're the niche expert. And then you can, like you said, collaborate with other people who have equal but different skills.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And so, like, you do a heavy focus on Instagram, which I love because Instagram's so highly converting and engaging. What changes have you seen over the time that you think people need to be aware of when they're putting together all of their social content?
Oh, in terms of content in general, there is a big need and want for that shorter form video content,
Mm,
and but still like with substance,
yeah.
and in terms of businesses and online businesses. So I mean, of course there's TikTok and reels and things along like that that's just entertaining, but from a business aspect, your longer form videos like YouTube video content, it's still very relevant, but there's this need to repackage it
Mm.
in a impactful way in the
In
shorter
15
form.
seconds.
Yeah, in the shorter form video content. So like, so that's really where things are going. I mean, they've been going that direction, but it's not going anywhere. And whether you're on Instagram or you have a YouTube channel or you're starting to dabble into Pinterest, that 15-second video can be on any of those now. With now they have YouTube
Pinterest doing
Shorts.
video as well.
Yeah, you can
Oh, I
share,
didn't
and
know
they
that.
recommend that your video is shorter, like 15 seconds. So yeah, it's incredibly powerful and
Yeah, yeah.
shareable and savable and all of the great metrics that you need to
Yes,
know whether
yeah.
your
I mean,
content
Reels
is
has
working.
blown my mind in terms of reach and the like interaction that has come from it. I'm going like these tiny, tiny, tiny little videos, and they're getting pushed out everywhere. But on
Yeah,
that, so
yeah.
because Reels are so quick and so digestible and so kind of looking, taking an action, and then poof, it's gone. Is there like it's a little bit more scrappy. So what I'm asking is because everything's so, do you think it's as important now to be so perfectly curated in the feed, or can it have those beautiful posts and then have some messiness to it as well?
Absolutely. I think messiness is required.
Yeah.
Just because it shows, especially for the smaller business owner, it shows your humanity and that you're human. And people really, really love that. They
Yeah.
love it when you're not as polished.
Polished. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it really depends on the brand. I mean, there's going to be some brands where it just doesn't fit at all,
Mm.
but I do think there is some craving there, even if, I would test it. And I do find that the less curated
Mm.
feeds, it's all based on value and that
Mm.
engagement. And
Yeah,
when you
well, I
start,
tried for ages to have the, or not for ages, I tried for about 2 months to go like have my system with like a quote and then a picture and then the thing and like
yeah,
the whole setup. And then it did not work because I'd go to post something on the fly and then be like, oh, I can't put that in or it's going to ruin the pattern. I'm going,
I
oh,
know, I
this
know.
is shit. I don't care about the pattern. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah, I stopped caring about the pattern too.
Yeah.
I think after a while you start to realize like there are certain things that really work and achieve the results that you're looking for, and how it looks on the feed as a whole is really low on the priority list.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
wanted to work for your business goals, not necessarily the aesthetic.
That is absolute gold right there. That's
Yeah.
exactly it. It's always going like, what does our customer need and want? And then we can give that to them. And a lot of them, well, I think a lot of people don't even know that we did blue, pink, and then we chucked a
Right.
yellow in there. Like, no one cares.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it might get you a follow every now and then, depending on if someone like just checks out your profile after seeing one post. But
Mm.
really, what gets people to follow does this bring value?
Yeah.
And so if you're in an industry that is aesthetic, then there is a benefit to doing that. There is some benefit to doing that, but I mean, otherwise, not too much.
I love it. Awesome. Kayla, it's been an absolute pleasure. I have linked to Ivory Mix in the show notes down below so everyone can see that. But what's the easiest way to follow you? What should they
Oh
look
yeah.
up?
Follow me on Instagram at _Ivory Mix, or on YouTube at Ivory Mix. I've got videos coming out every week on either IGTV or YouTube. And that's where you can really follow me if that's what you're looking to do.
I love it. Thanks so much, Kayla.